Yeah, fine, madam. Start. Start, madam.
Okay. Good morning, students and other college students. Dr. S. Jayanti speaking. As you all are aware that all of us are present here and eagerly waiting for webinar. On behalf of the management, principal and staff of J.N.N College, I would like to welcome our Satish Kumar, BE MBA, for the webinar topic Technological Augmentation. I would like to introduce our Satish Kumar, who has 25 plus years of experience in software product and software project management. Now, current designation is Principal Architect. His main focus areas are cloud computing, IoT, AI, and machine learning. He is having complete practical knowledge in Agile prototype model. I take pleasure in welcome you, sir, to our esteemed institution webinar. Now, continue, sir.
Uh, Thanks, Mrs. Jayanti.
Okay.
First, I'm audible to all.
Okay.
Um, uh, Very good morning to all the budding engineers who are in this particular session of the J.N.N Institute of Engineering and even if any other colleges, and also the management of the J.N.N Institute of Engineering. Welcome you all to this virtual meeting or the discussion or the webinar, whatever we call it as. To be very precise to start, apologies for having it on the weekend as we would not want to disturb the regular cycle. So we had it on this particular session. Trust during this pandemic situation, each and everybody is doing well and keeping safe in their respective location. At the outset, I would like to thank the management of the J.N.N Institute of Engineering for providing me this opportunity to speak about the technical augmentation. As rightly said by Mrs. Jayanti, I am around 25 plus years of experience in this software field, starting right from the ages of Fox Pro, then traveling around the Microsoft, all the Visual Basics, .NETs, and then Java, everything. Different domains have been experienced, like payment domains, insurance domains. Yeah, all the domains have been experienced, and the protocol stack development. So these are all the journey that I have traveled so far, and so far the journey is safe and it is good also. So I would not like to waste the time. Jumping right into the discussion, why this webinar was called as technical augmentation. When a lot of topics are there, then what is the need for calling this as a technical augmentation is? The discussion that we are about to have here is more about the concepts that are prevailing in the technological world. And it is one of the way that each one of us can approach further, or the way we need to tackle it to enter into a new arena. Like, these are all the kind of what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss about 2 or 3 case studies, and it is our preference to understand how this approach can be taken further. And that is the reason that I had this as a technical augmentation. Augmentation is nothing but enhancement to the existing technologies, in short, if we can say. So I would not say that I'm discussing the use case study. On the other hand, I would like to say that this can be a kind of a knowledge transfer session to the budding engineers who are in the second and the third year of stream. So probably this might be a slight helpful session when you get into the mini projects, or when you get into the projects in a couple of years with the larger scheme. So that was the objective. So before entering into that, I would like to set up an agenda. We would, as I said, 2 or 3 case studies in the sense. The first one will be on the finger vein authentication. What we have on this veins. We know that in the technological world, the veins are playing a greater current technology seems to be of greater importance. Then we will focus on the second topic on the retrieving the meter readings of the electrical digital meters in an automated fashion. We will focus on the Indian scenario alone, because that is not automated right away, because we were having analog meters, and then digital meters has come all the way. And due to this pandemic situation, there are a lot of things that had happened, which I will discuss in detail. And last but not least, I will talk about the performance of the application, like whether it can be a Java application or it can be a Microsoft application, involving an RDBMS, not a NoSQL database, like what you are learning about Cassandra or other things, but it will be on a relational database management system, because these are more common applications which are focusing on the web stream as well as in the mobile stream. So I am moving on to the actual topic. So why we have chosen fingerprint authentication at this particular juncture is security is the need of the hour for this technological world. And when we say security, like what were the earlier security that it was present? That it was like a kind of a physical access of the card, and going on to the advancement, it came as a biometric, probably a thumb impression or any of the fingers in our. But what could add into the fingerprint recognition or the fingerprint authentication? They call it as FET or FEA, fingerprint authentication. It's not. I don't think it's so popular in the Indian scenario, though it is used in many of the corporates in the silos. But the front runners are the Japanese and the UK people, where they employ more on the fingerprint authentication. The fingerprints is like when you use a biometric, the person need not be alive. Even you cut his finger, then you bring this finger and show it on the device, then automatically the biometric security will work. But fingerprint authentication is the one where the people or a particular person has to be alive, so that his reading is being taken from the veins, where the blood is passing through the veins. So I don't want to enter more onto the medical terminology, but comparing it to the real world scenario, we were having biometric, we were having iris, we were having voice recognition. And when we compare to the fingerprint authentication, it is like more 99.99% of accuracy we can get using fingerprint authentication. Why we are talking about in this computer technological world is because it is very easy when you are going to do with the fingerprint. Like you have a kind of a fingerprint, a high-end camera with the infrared lights, then possibly you can put on your veins or you can put on your fingers, then immediately the image will be captured from the veins. And this particular image will be compared with the image that you have already stored. So the assumption is already, for example, if we take the fingerprint in a big manufacturing industry, so where there are 500 more employees, and then these employees' image will be captured already and stored in the database. How it is stored? It is stored in the binary form. I am touching up all the points where it is required in the computer science engineering model. So it will be stored in the form of binary data. So when this particular image has been captured with the help of a camera, then immediately that is also captured as an image in a particular pattern. And whatever the pattern that you are stored in the template or in the database, it has been compared. So both are compared. Then if it is matched, then this particular employee or this particular resource has been authenticated. That's how the basic model is being working on. And there are so many articles now coming on with this particular fingerprints, different technologies, somebody using 3D and other things. One such article was published in the a famous magazine by Soumya Ramasubramanian, you don't know, in the year 2020 about this fingerprint. So in short form, we can say that the image of the fingerprint patterns of the individuals is stored as a template, and the image which is being captured is compared and then authenticated. This is what the exact definition will go. Okay, why we wanted to go into the fingerprint recognition when compared to the other models of the security? It is like even if it is identical twins, the fingerprints will not be same. The twins will have a different fingerprint patterns. And it is extremely difficult to steal the particular beans, because as long as the human being is alive, then only it is authenticated. It's not like biometric security, and it doesn't leave any trace during the authentication process. And this particular beans remains relatively constant throughout the years that will go. Even if it is 50 years or 60 years, the beans will not change, or it will not change due to the weather or the physical conditions, or due to your finger beans getting cracked or rough skin. Then also the beans, because the beans are well situated inside your body. So these are the major features that fingerprint authentication has been very popular in the technological world, and now the fingerprints are getting more popular now. Though I can say that last 5 years or so, this has been employed in various applications, and slightly I think in our country the deployment is picking up in a very slower pace, or coming years it might get very famous or quickly deployed over the years. So talking about the applications, where and all this particular fingerprint applications can be used, is one in the case of medical imaging, another in the case of biometric or biometric attendance, or in the case of ATM. As it is a unique way of identification, these applications are very useful. So where I'm going to use in the medical imaging, I have given so many applications. So let me talk about in the medical imaging how it is used. It is a technique in which internal parts of the human body is clinically analyzed, and it gives a visual representation of the body organs and the tissues. So the doctors, if they are not able to find out the particular veins, with this methodology, they will be very cleanly able to find out where the veins are and immediately put the drips to the patients. So this is one part where veins come into the picture into the medical image. And coming back to the biometric recognition for authentication, one can unlock their personal information or access the confidential data only on their needs. Nobody else can operate on it. This is with respect to the biometric authentication. And biometric attendance, probably if you students are there in the second years and the third years, you can, these are very good kind of assignments that you can add on to your mini projects or the larger size of the projects. You can even do this as a prototyping and give it to your institute, J.N.N. Institute of Engineering, as a prototyping model, and verify whether all your attendance have been tracked properly. So this biometric attendance is now playing a greater role in bigger industry. And there are many companies in UK where they are utilizing this particular fingerprint authentication and then putting an add-on MIS or the statistical data as a reporting tools, and they're showcasing as a big product. So that is one of the example. On the other hand, when we go into the ATM, or we can say ATM, or even tomorrow in the iOS or the mobile devices, we might quickly have a fingerprint authentications. As many of the, in the case of the IoT in the health sector, many of the applications are now coming into the picture, and now fingerprints will quickly form a role in the part of our life. So this is with respect to the application perspective. Okay, now I'm wanted to do a comparison, now I'm having a fingerprint, now I'm having an iris, now I'm having a voice. A lot of things are there. Then of all this, how fingerprints is coming is an outstanding way. When we compare the parameters like how accuracy it is, what is its data size, or what is its cost, or what is its security level, or the long-term stability, you can see that the first thing I will take it up is accuracy. How much accuracy? It has a very high accuracy. That's why I said it is 99.9%, 99.99% secure, or failure rate is 0.0001 kind of stuff. You can even browse it and see it, how it is like. And the security level, because of the accuracy, it is very high. And the long-term stability is also high. But only one disadvantage with respect to this methodology might be the cost factor, or the reader itself might be a little bit high. But when we want a good security perspective and a good kind of authentications, I don't think cost will be a particular factor to measure with in that particular scenario. And this particular source is from Mofiria Corporation. You can just view it, how they have compared and they have given it all these things. So I am moving on to the next topic. So I talked about fingerprint authentication. So hardly I have spent some 12 minutes. So I'm moving on to the next topic. Next topic is how to read the electrical readings from the digital meters. For a longer part, I am talking only about the Indian scenario here. Don't assume that I am doing it with other countries, because when we are comparing with the US and the Canada or other countries, they are almost kind of having a digital meters and automated. Nobody comes there and takes the readings. It's all kind of a wireless form. Why we have taken this particular topic at this particular juncture is, now due to the pandemic situation, you know that the government and other organizations across India, they have now, what they have done is, the electrical reading will be based on the previous assessment. So when it is done in the previous assessment, might be for the few customers it is advantage, few customers it is disadvantage at this pandemic situation. Why this situation has happened? Because the electricity board staff is not able to travel, or he might not be able to visit the houses because of the pandemic situation. So not only to avoid this, in the future, tomorrow you might have a flood situation. So how to avoid the human or the manual intervention here? That is the objective. So when we are suggesting certain things to the kind of an Indian scenario, I think we should be very careful that not so much of devices or so much of things should be added to the existing arrangement. Existing arrangement is, there is a digital meter, and each meter has a kind of a unique serial numbers, and that serial number has been mapped to the consumer numbers. So we would not give a kind of a direct mapping, but we would try to talk about a few scenarios, like whether we would be able to use Bluetooth low equipment or Bluetooth low energy device. There are two things actually. When we go into the wireless form, you would have seen NFC. Many of them would have had the cards where you tap in the petrol bunks. So NFC and Bluetooth low energy are kind of, as far as the features are concerned, they are almost same. But the frequency that they are operating is, Bluetooth low energy operates in the 2.4 to 2.5 gigahertz. And the other one, NFC, operates on 13.56 megahertz kind of stuff. But the range of Bluetooth low energy will be approximately 50 meters. And this gives the advantage to ensure that what can be done in the real scenario. So I'll say that why these were all required. I'm just rolling back quickly. Manual involvement needs to be avoided. Electrical staff should not visit the customer premises due to the pandemic situation or this one. And due to the shortage of the resources also, tomorrow this might occur. So with all this, this one, like the challenge upfront that is available. Now what we have to do is, with the help of the existing digital meters, can we fit in some BLE device so that the electrical readings with the help of BLE device can be transmitted quickly to the host device. Now I think the electrical staff who are visiting the each residence or carrying a post, if that post could be slightly altered, and that is also with the BLE enabled, then he need not even visit your house. He can stand outside your premises and he can sync the data from the digital meter. This is one of the suggestions that we can give. Or because now almost all the electrical staffs are now being provided with the vehicles. They can sit in the vehicle and reach the premises where it is less than or equal to 50 meters and try to sync the data from the electrical meters. So this is one such scenario. Or what is the next scenario? The scenario that is prevailing in US or kind of Canada or something. They have done, what they have done is, in 2014, if I'm right, they have around 21 million electrical meters have been the analog meters or have been converted into the digital meters. One company, Ameren, AMEREN, that's a company that has taken and they have deployed it over 21 million digital meters. And they claim that they are having a transmitter, and with the help of the transmitter, they are transmitting the data. But I don't think so. Apart from that, they have a good strategy in transmitting the data to the back to the station. So all that it is required now here is, apart from the BLE device that is going to be fitted with the digital meters, the electricity board within India itself should be prepared to have some kind of cloud service or kind of database service, so that the data that has been transmitted over the air or the information that has got from the electrical meters of a specific consumer number gets transmitted to these particular servers, and from these servers, which is automated data transmission, then electrical staff sitting at that particular station can manipulate the data or can segregate the data or sequence the data and send it across. Now they are sending it via SMS, saying that this is your electrical, this is the amount that you need to pay for this particular month. It can be still extended with the help of all the latest technologies. It can be given to your WhatsApp. It can be given to all your mail IDs or whatever the mobile numbers that you are giving. So with the capturing of the actual statistical data. So these are the small kind of alteration that can be done. Even the electricity board, I don't think the government can need not spend too much of money, but they can have a centralized service at the particular locations and then acquire the data. So which makes the job very easy, and everybody is in a comfortable position. And then people are now paying everything in the mode of internet only. So I don't think nothing will be affected in this kind of. So in the Indian scenario, now there are kind of a Wi-Fi devices available. One such device is FRG Elite, you could see in Amazon itself. And there are other devices, Home 3, personal energy devices. There are lots of devices now that it is out of own customers' interest. It is getting plugged in the in the current existing electrical meters. And then the data is being read out. So this is one such scenario. So obviously, it is very easy. As I said, each and every electrical meter is coming out with the specific serial number, and the internal mapping of the serial number to the consumer number can be done, and it can be brought up. This is one such suggestion. And my suggestion to you people would be, whenever you are going to handle the projects, or we are going to take out the projects, my suggestion would be, please involve it with a kind of a small hardware or something. And embedded applications will have a long talk, or your application itself will have a long say. Instead of taking up an ordinary application and doing an e-commerce application or doing a travel application, don't replicate what you have it in your current status. Please think, you are all creators. You have a fresh minds. So try to do something to this society or something to this outside world, so that not only your name gets out, but the society also gets a benefit in turn. So two things I talked about more technically in the kind of fingerprint authentication and electrical digital meters. So slightly I will reduce that to a kind of an last topic, which we shall take it as an improving the performance of the application. Why we have taken again this particular topic? Wherever you go to an interview tomorrow, or I had been in the many of the panels in the interview. So they ask, how do you improve the performance of the application? Everybody is interested in creating an application quickly in the web form or in the mobile form, and create a data and insert a data, update a data, and delete a data. They are worried about, it's called as a CRUD operations. If you have done the RDBMS, it's called as a CRUD operation, CRUD. So they are very interested in doing that alone. But before all these things, that's why I said you consider the relational database management system. For example, if you are going to design a particular application which is kind of a banking application, and it is going to be a kind of all your savings account, current account, all the informations are getting stored there. Then you start devising out the database tables. So I will give you a few suggestions which you need to take care before designing, or before even you sit for doing the projects. You identify what is the purpose of each table, or they call it as an entity, whether the parameters or the fields that, or the columns that you are going to introduce, are having a relevant data types, that is whether it is a string or integer. Decide that upfront. And once you have created the table, first thing you do is, by default it creates a primary key. Whether any other key you would require, kind of a foreign key, they call it as a referential integrity. Referential integrity is a one that matches where the foreign key is matched with the primary key. You don't leave out any tables without doing an index, and wherever the composite index are required, please do it. And all this once again, and all this once it is done, if you are going to start writing a query or something, probably when you are implementing multiple joins or something, then you should take care of all these things, how your query should be done. And for this, now in the technological world, we have a lot of query optimizers where they recommend what should be done, what is your cost plan, what is where the indexes is required. So they give a lot of suggestions to you. And once you tune up the queries and other things, then you run it in the SQL mode, the PLSQL mode. You know what is the timing that it is coming. It is coming nowadays. All the customers are very shrewd, and their expectation is the outcome should be in milliseconds. So ensure that if the big applications like stock exchange applications or the banking applications, which are going to have millions of records per day as a transactions, then it is very important to have your query tuned. So at the first stage, if you have tuned, then your applications will work fine, because the applications again will be having a front end and the back end. So again, there is a certain load to the application. That's why I'm saying do it with the PLSQL, find out what is the time, and then do it with the application. Then doing it with the application, if the time is getting reduced, check out all your cache, whether all your cache memory, everything has been clear. And then your web applications can be scrutinized, have the lighter data, and then it can be pulled wherever it is required. Don't select all the columns from the table. Wherever it is relevant, select only the particular columns and then show it. It may be all these points which I'm saying might be a kind of a slight advanced to you, but I'm talking only in your terms, because when you take up the database, when you design the tables, these will be very important. So apart from all this, my in the practical experience, what we have done, so I thought it would be a good point that I can say it to you. Have one particular field in the form of the data type, date and timestamp. Okay, why I should do that? If your question is why I should do that, is generally all the when you take the banking applications, or when you take any even today Amazon or anything, they are not having the hits. The number of the hits to the application is not uniform throughout the cycle. So it might be at one stage, it might be peak. For example, if you are going to verify your results via JE or NEET, then the service got stuck and they were not able to see the results. It is all because a deadlock situation occurs. Everybody is coming into the website and then they are logging. So what can be done to do that? Now the industry is more towards, for example, I'll take the banking application scenario because we have worked with it. So if you take the case of compliance mode, 1 year of live data has to be always available, and the remaining 7 years of the data can be put into the archive. So this is the situation now. So what you can do, why I have asked you to do that one particular field to have as a date and timestamp in all the tables, is you can, once that is created, then you can do a partitioning on the specific based on the date. How the partitioning can be done? Either it can be done based on the 365 days. So up to 365 days, the data will be maintained in the active database. Once it reaches 366th day, then that particular data will be moved into the archive. So this can be done with your procedures itself within the database, and you need not write any specific coding in specific language. You know PLSQL, write a partition mechanism and then push that data. Or otherwise, you can maintain as a from 1 to 12 months you can maintain. Once the 12th month process, the 13th month data goes into the archival database. Okay, now the other question you might ask, okay, I'm having an active database with 12 months. If I want to query the older data, what I can do? So your query will have the database connection to directly to the archival database, which is not known to the outside world. Only your query hits the application, then the application turns into the database connection. Now a lot of ORMs are available. So the ORM can split into the active database or the archive database, and it can bring in the data. When you do this, the memory or the required space will be very less, and immediately the data will be, with the help of the pointers, will be able to fetch in the data and show it to the outside world. So that is the reason I asked you to have it as one particular data type as date and timestamp. So this was kind of so always you of course the stronger CPU or the defragmentation, all these factors will come at a later stage. But before all this kind of performance improvements, if it is done, then it is really good for your applications, and your application will work on a bigger way. That's the idea. So I think within 32 minutes, I had completed the 3 topics. I would not like to stop here. I would like to give few things additionally to you. What are the in the kind of, if you are going to take up a kind of a new project, or the POC, or the mini projects, that always, as I said, be the creator of the product. That is, when I say creator of the product, don't write don't have an application and this application is going to serve these many people. Do it at the system level, at the kernel level. Try to write to your own real-time operating system. It's not big deal. Your minds are very fresh and you have the energy to do that. So think on that mind. And I like to put few things as a process. Whenever you are going to start the project, document all your requirements, and a pictorial representation of the project will give you the lead in 100 ways. Write a small pseudocode that will determine your requirements in a larger way. So what we used to, even in our kind of applications, what we used to do is ask the people to develop a skeleton. Class A, class B, class C, whether you're going to do an abstract class or you're going to do an interface class, irrespective of what you're going to do, put a skeleton. And as a POC, do it with the minimal parameters. For example, if an electrical application is there, have a primary key, have a date and timestamp, have a consumer number, have a date where the transaction has happened, have the consumer serial number, with the minimum parameters. Don't develop at the first stage itself. Don't bring in all the parameters, then it will be a huge load onto your application. While there are many ways to build a solution, ask the queries to yourself. I am going to build a product, and how my product is going to be better than others. What is going to be special in my approach to the product which I am going to build? Will there be benefits to the outside world? Because when it is a benefit to the outside world, your application or your kind of POC is going to get sanctioned or signed off in a very quick manner, because they are the major stakeholders. And all your applications, when you are doing it, keep the focus that there should be only minimal intervention of the human beings. Manual intervention should be less or minimal. And what is the percentage of the failure or the success in my applications? They call it as a non-functional requirements. They do it as a FERBS analysis. They call a lot of things: functionality, usability, reliability. They call it in terms. Don't worry about those things. But upfront, you ensure that even my application is going to fail at the first stage. That is a learning process to you. because as I would like to quote a simple example which we felt. We were doing a protocol stack development called as a page one controller in one of the companies, and protocol it is called Bluetooth we are doing, and Zigbee protocol it is called as, and we were testing with the voice and the data. So I was upfront. There was a defect, and then I fixed it, and then went and said, "Yes, boss, I have completed my defect." Then immediately my boss came over and told me, "Okay, now you have fixed the defect. That is fine. Now you reinvent the defect." I was surprised to see that why I should reinvent the defect when I fixed it, because you have a lot of learning when you reinvent the defect. Once you reinvent the defect, after that particular session, you will not have defects at all. And even if defects are going to occur, you are going to address it at a faster pace. So always go for the failures, and then success will be always in your path. So these are the things that I thought as a takeoffs. Further, I would like to keep you as there can be many entrepreneurs in this. Always students like budding engineers focus to bring something to the outside world first, our nation, our society, with all your knowledge in the technological way. Even failures comes in that way, success will be coming very soon to your path. I have gone through all your syllabus. I think Python, HTML5 you are all learning, and your minds are very fresh. And now the gadgets are in a long way. Every now and then new gadgets or the mobile things are coming out. Use them wisely in a technological way to advance your technology, and don't focus on other things. Focus, because time lost cannot be recalled. So put it in a very firm way, and try to regain as many things that your faculties are going to discuss. The topics or the curriculum or the syllabus that has been put into the place, whatever you are going to learn here, really it will be a milestone to you. You miss it here, you go outside and learn, you are going to spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees to learn the same things. So whatever your faculties are giving in, put into your mind, and that will be very valuable when you go into the outside world. You do not know whether you're going to be a kind of a networking programmer, or you're going to be a Java programmer, or you're going to be a Microsoft application programmer. You do not know. And the expectation at the outside world in the corporate organizations is like at the first day itself whether you can do something to them. That's their expectation. So my suggestion would be, every time you get an off at the end of the semester, try to put in some kind of new applications you learn. Either you learn now Python is part of the programming, whether you will be able to learn Cassandra, or whether you will be able to learn PLSQL itself, Oracle PLSQL itself, or whether you will be able to learn a small kind of cascading style sheets or AngularJS. Add on to your profile. So when you come to the fourth year or the final year, you will have a better mind, and you know where to step in, what to do, and what to speak about, and how to deliver the applications in a successful manner. So these are my thoughts. I think with the three topics, I think I would have added on slight on the process and slightly on your improving your skills also. So that is where this one I am done, and I will leave it to the other things to you.
Hello.
Yeah, I am done.
I think the webinar will be technological and useful to all participants. Today webinar was full of knowledge and interesting things. I would like to thank for J.N.N institution, and then I would like to thank for Mr. R. Satish Kumar for giving webinar and enlightening us with their knowledge. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Jayati, and thank you to all the J.N.N Institute management and to the students who have heard this particular thing. Thanks to all. Thanks for providing me this opportunity to speak about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.